You're a terrible person and a terrible reporter. As far as the Epstein Files is, I have nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein. I threw him out of my club many years ago because I thought he was a sick pervert. But you're mentioning somebody that was extremely controversial. A lot of people didn't like that gentleman that you're talking about. Whether you like him or didn't like him, things happen. But he knew nothing about it, and we can leave it at that. You don't have to embarrass our guest by asking a question like that.
It's just painful about, families of 9/11 in America. But, we have to focus on reality. Reality based on CIA documents and based on a lot of documents that Osama bin Laden, he used Saudi people in that event for one main purpose, is to destroy this relation. About the journalists, it's really painful to hear anyone that been losing his life for no real purpose or not in a legal way, and it's been painful for us in Saudi Arabia. We've did all the right steps of investigation, etc., in Saudi Arabia, and we've improved our system to be sure that nothing happened like that, and it's painful and it's a huge mistake, and we are doing our best that this doesn't happen again.
Donald Trump and Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman have built a relationship rooted in both personal chemistry and strategic interests. When Trump first became president, he made Saudi Arabia his first foreign trip in 2017, signaling not just a diplomatic reset, but a major deal-making partnership. Fast forward to November 2025, MBS returns to the White House, and this meeting carries huge weight, not just for arms and oil, but for technology, investment, and geopolitical realignment. Here are the 5 key takeaways from their latest summit, based on what was said, and what those words really mean.
It's another league, Mr. President.
Mr. President?
And Trump doesn't give a fist pump. I grabbed that hand. I don't give a hell where that hand's been. I grabbed that hand.
Just in America, and it will also your work for the world peace. I believe, Mr. President, today and tomorrow we're going to announce that we are going to increase that $600 billion to almost $1 trillion of investment, real investment and real opportunity by details in many areas.
While both leaders talk about a nearly $1 trillion investment, earlier public figures pegged the commitment at $600 billion. According to analysis, the $1 trillion figure may not mean a cash transfer all at once. Instead, much of it could be long-term, multi-sector deals, defense, AI, infrastructure, rather than pure liquid capital. Economists have noted that for Saudi Arabia, making real on such a high-scale pledge is challenging given its domestic costs and fiscal pressures.
And I want to thank you because you've agreed to invest $600 billion into the United States. And because he's my friend, he might make it $1 trillion, but I'm going to have to work on him. But it's 600. We can count on 600 billion, but that number could go up a little bit higher, yes, sir. I don't know. We'll see.
Trump's framing leans on personal rapport, which works rhetorically, but raises accountability issues. How much of the pledge depends on personal diplomacy versus institutional deal-making? This kind of deal-maker rhetoric has been central to Trump's identity. He often leverages personal relationships to push for big headline numbers, regardless of delivery risk. Analysts say this aligns with his pattern of big announcements, uncertain follow-through.
Peace. I believe, Mr. President, today and tomorrow we're going to announce that we are going to increase that $600 billion to almost $1 trillion of investment, real investment and real opportunity by details in many areas. And the agreement that we are signing today in many areas in technology, in AI, in rare earth materials, magnet, etc., that will create a lot of investment opportunities.
So you are doing that now. You're saying to me now that the 600 billion will be 1 trillion.
Definitely, because what we are signing, it will facilitate that, and we
I like
will
that
build
very
on
much.
it.
MBS is suggesting the $1 trillion isn't just theoretical. There will be real investments in concrete sectors like technology, rare materials, and AI. But real investments is a broad term. Transformative deals in tech or infrastructure often involve long timelines, regulatory hurdles, and risk. Past Saudi-U.S. investment pledges have sometimes fallen short of optimistic public totals. There's also geopolitical risk. Large cross-border investments require political stability, regulatory consistency, and alignment on long-term strategic objectives, all of which can be fragile.
And the question for the
Well, I just said it, though. I mean, we're going to sell them F-35s. That's the end of the question, I guess.
Is it part of the security agreement or no?
No, we're going to have a deal. They're going to purchase F-35s. They're buying them from Lockheed, and it's a great plane. We make, by the way, the best military equipment. You saw that during the Iran little skirmish. We make the best planes, the best missiles. We make the best offensive missiles.
This marks a significant pivot. The F-35 is a top-tier, stealth-capable fighter, and previous U.S. administrations have been cautious about exporting it, especially in the Middle East. The reported Saudi request is for up to 48 jets, which suggests this is not a token deal, but a serious military modernization effort. Such a sale raises strategic concerns, particularly about Israel's qualitative military edge. Long-standing U.S. policy seeks to prevent other states from surpassing Israel in advanced military tech.
They've been a great ally. Israel's been a great ally, and we're looking at that exactly right now. But as far as I'm concerned, I think they are both at a level where they should get top of the line. Yes, please.
Can I just ask for the Crown Prince?
Trump's framing normalizes the export by emphasizing the long-term alliance. But ally here is transactional. Saudi Arabia has been a buyer, but not fully under U.S. treaty-style guarantees. The concern from security analysts is that technology transfer could lead to sensitive components being compromised, especially given Saudi Arabia's diplomatic relations and growing interactions with major powers like China. Congress may pose a hurdle. Even if the White House supports the sale, U.S. lawmakers could impose conditions or block parts of the deal due to human rights or strategic risk.
Today, and are you going to bring up the Abraham Accords in your discussion?
I already brought them up.
What did you say?
I think I got a positive response. Would you like to respond?
Yeah, so
Yes.
Trump is signaling forward momentum. Normalization with Israel has long been a Trump-era foreign policy goal. The Saudi government has previously tied full normalization to progress on the Palestinian issue. Historically, Saudi participation in the accords has been contingent on a two-state solution, or credible Palestinian statehood guarantees, which MBS now explicitly reiterates. The U.S. has leverage, but it's not total. Saudi Arabia's prestige and regional influence give it bargaining power, meaning normalization is likely to remain a conditional and negotiated process, not a fait accompli.
Yeah, so definitely we believe having a good relation with all Middle Eastern countries is a good thing, and we want to be part of the Abraham Accord, but we want also to be sure that we secure a clear path of two-state solution.
This is not just diplomatic theater. By linking normalization to Palestinian progress, MBS retains significant political leverage. The credible path requirement is not new. Saudi Arabia has consistently insisted that any normalization with Israel must involve Palestinian rights or statehood. This condition complicates U.S. ambitions. Even with arms and money on the table, Saudi Arabia is not simply bargaining away its geopolitical principles. It's positioning itself as a regional power broker.
Solution. And today we have a healthy discussion with Mr. President that we're going to work on that to be sure that we can prepare the right situation as soon as possible to have that.
I think we're, I don't want to use the word commitment, but we've had a very good talk on the Abraham Accords. We talked about one state, two state. We talked about a lot of things in a short period of time. We'll be discussing it further, too. But I think you have a very good feeling toward the Abraham Accords.
Yes, definitely, Mr. President. We want peace for the Israelis. We want peace for the Palestinians. We want them to coexist peacefully in the region. And we will do our best to reach that day.
Given the complexity of Middle East diplomacy and Saudi Arabia's conditional approach, this may be more aspirational than imminent. Normalization tied to concessions could lead to long-term negotiations, not just a one-off agreement, and the U.S. may need to offer security guarantees, economic incentives, or diplomatic support to make it happen.
You're mentioning somebody that was extremely controversial. A lot of people didn't like that gentleman that you're talking about. Whether you like him or didn't like him, things happen, but he knew nothing about it, and we can leave it at that. You don't have to embarrass our guest by asking a question like that.
This defense runs counter to previously declassified U.S. intelligence. A 2021 U.S. intelligence report assessed that MBS approved an operation in Istanbul to capture or kill Jamal Khashoggi. The report cited MBS's absolute control over Saudi security and intelligence agencies, suggesting that such an operation would be unlikely without his consent. By rejecting that narrative, Trump frames MBS as wrongly maligned. But many analysts see this as a strategic re-legitimization of MBS, prioritizing geopolitical gains over moral accountability.
About the journalists, it's really painful to hear, anyone that been losing his life for, no real purpose or not in a legal way, and it's been painful for us in Saudi Arabia. We've did all the right steps of investigation, etc. in Saudi Arabia, and we've improved our system to be sure that nothing happened like that, and it's painful and it's a huge mistake, and we are doing our best that this doesn't happen again.
MBS offers what sounds like an apology or regret, but it's vague and non-committal. He calls it a mistake without outlining concrete reforms, accountability, or judicial transparency. Saudi Arabia's own public handling of the Khashoggi case has been criticized. While prosecutions occurred, key questions remain about high-level culpability and whether full responsibility was attributed to MBS. The lack of deeper accountability means many human rights and international observers will view the apology not as a turning point, but as symbolic face-saving.
Mr. President, why wait for Congress to release the Epstein files? Why not just do it now?
It's not the question that I mind, it's your attitude. I think you are a terrible reporter. It's the way you ask these questions. You start off with a man who's highly respected, asking him a horrible, insubordinate, and just a terrible question. And you could even ask that same exact question nicely. You're all psyched up. Somebody psychs you over at ABC. They're going to psych.
Here's what actually happened. Congress has taken decisive action. The Epstein Files Transparency Act passed the House today by an overwhelming vote of 427 to 1. Shortly after, the Senate approved it by unanimous consent, sending the bill to Trump's desk for signature. But what can Trump do now? As president, he can veto the bill, but overriding a veto requires a 2/3 majority in both chambers. The House's overwhelming vote makes a veto override plausible, though the Senate's unanimous consent isn't a recorded vote, so it doesn't automatically guarantee a veto-proof margin. Even if the bill becomes law, the Department of Justice can still withhold documents. Legal experts point out that Trump's announced DOJ investigation into politically connected figures tied to Epstein could be used to justify limiting release. The law permits redactions or withholding if an ongoing investigation might be jeopardized. So, while Congress has forced the issue and moved the bill forward, Trump retains tools to influence what actually reaches the public. The fight over transparency isn't necessarily over. The key question now is how much will actually be disclosed, and whether legal loopholes can delay or limit the file's release.
You're a terrible person and a terrible reporter. As far as the Epstein files is, I have nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein. I threw him out of my club many years ago because I thought he was a sick pervert. But I guess I turned out to be right. But you know who does have? Bill Clinton. Larry Summers, who ran Harvard, was with him every single night, every single weekend. They lived together. They went to his island many times. I never did. Andrew Weissman, I hear. All these guys were friends of his. You don't even talk about those people. You just keep going on the Epstein files. And what the Epstein is a Democrat hoax to try and get me not to be able to talk about the $21 trillion that I talked about today.
Trump's claim of non-involvement aligns with documented interactions. He did indeed distance himself from Epstein in the 1990s. His attempt to shift blame to Democrats, naming Clinton, Summers, and Weissman, is unsupported in evidence and aligns with partisan deflection strategies. Characterizing the Epstein Files controversy as a Democrat hoax ignores the bipartisan investigation and oversight efforts that led to the Transparency Act. This summit between Trump and MBS is more than a photo op. It's a strategic reset. For the U.S., the opportunity is massive. Job creation, strategic influence, and access to critical sectors. But the risk is just as real. If the deals don't deliver, or if strategic alignment falters, this could look like bold talk without substance. Or worse, a miscalculated gamble.
It's a very small room. They've wanted a new ballroom for 150 years. We could have sold the big ballroom out 3 times in honor of this gentleman. So I made a lot of enemies because I have a lot of people that are invited tonight or are unable to come because of the size constraint. But you know what we'll do before I leave office? We'll have another dinner because we'll have it ready long before I leave office, and it's going to be beautiful. It's a very popular thing what we're doing. And by the way, no government funds. It's all put up private money, all private money. And in the case, I think it's there's a restriction on foreigners. Otherwise, I could have asked you just for a check, okay? But there's a restriction. These are all private individuals that put up a lot of money to build the ballroom. Not one penny is being used from the federal government. So it's really a nice thing. But I look forward to it. I just pointed it out. If this would be a perfect night to have that ballroom open, Susie. If we had that open, we'd have a lot of people very happy. Right now, we have a lot of unhappy people because they all want to be with us tonight to honor this great man. Thank you all very much.
Of a flyover and a welcome like no other that we've seen at our White House for the leader of Saudi Arabia.
Well, Harris, you're the daughter of a colonel. And, you know, I'm a retired Green Beret, and there's nothing like having the United States military,
right,
which is the force behind President Trump's diplomacy. And that's why the entire world takes him so seriously, because he knows he's willing to use it, but do so judiciously and do so alongside our partners and allies.